For better understanding, you may see this part. Now I will talking about microsporogenous tissue. It takes an important role to produce pollen. Diploid. First of all, a sporogenous tissue, a cell 2n, that is diploid. It is divided and produce 4n. That's mean from a cell. Now I am talking about sporogenous tissue. In a sporogenous tissue, from a cell, produce four cell. From a cell, that's mean 2n, 4 cell, n. For this reason, it is known as tetrad. For this reason, it is known as tetrad. In microsporogenous tissue, I am talking from a cell. A cell means a cell which is diploid. It is known as this cell. This diploid cell is known as PMC. Pollen mother cell. Okay. The process from 2n to 4n in meiosis. Meiosis. 2n, from 2n to 4n, this process by meiosis. Okay. In this way, 4 cell is produced, which helps to produce pollen. It is the process. In this process, pollen produce, which is known as microsporogenesis. What I have told you in first stage. Here, this is microsporogenesis, which is the process of produce pollen. We have known that about anther, process of produce pollen, and now I will discuss about anther, structure of anther, and some important component which takes an important role for pollen. Okay, let's go. Pollen is also known as microspore. Pollen is also known as microspore. So, if this pollen how release? It is a question. Here, first of all, I have told you that Fortheca, and when I am discussing about pollen sac, I have told everything, but how release I don't told you. How pollen release, it is an important role. This part here, show it carefully. This part, it Fortheca 1 2 3 4. Fortheca we have seen. This part is connective part. Okay, and that part is theca. That's mean from mother cells pollen are produced, and so many pollen when produced, then middle part disappear, and next epidermis and endothecium. Epidermis and endothecium made this path. Okay, or lack of epidermis and endothecium in his full stage. In his full stage, lack of epidermis and endothecium, pollen are out. Okay, it is very simple. Here, in full stage of a pollen, lack of epidermis and endothecium. Okay, chalo. And now I will discuss about only a pollen. Pollen grain. Pollen grain. This is a structure of a pollen grain. Outer part of a pollen is known as exine. Inner part of a pollen is intine. Inner part of a pollen is made up of pectin and a cellulose. Okay, and cellulose and exine. Outer part of the pollen is made up of sporopollenin. Yes, sporopollenin, which is a typical fat. Okay, exine and intine. Exine is sporopollenin, a typical fat, and intine, pectin and cellulose made up of pectin and cellulose, intine. Okay, this exine part is high temperature and strong acid and alkali metal. It can withstand. Exine can withstand high temperature and strong acid and alkali. Okay, it is very important. Many times it comes in need. Okay, chalo. Abel high temperature acid and alkali. Okay, this is propylene and hard, but it has some ability. This exine protect the pollen. This exine protect the pollen. This is Jampur. Jampur. This is Jampur vacuole. This part is known as vacuole. Vacuoles. And this part is nucleus. And at last this part is known as generative cell. Generative cell. Special character of a pollen. Pollen is spherical and 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. 25 to 50 micrometer in diameter. Two layer, exine and intine. Pollen grain are well preserved as fossils. Pollen grain as fossils for sporopollenin. Sporopollenin represent an outer layer of a pollen. Cytoplasm of a pollen grain surrounded by plasma membrane. Okay, this layer here, so many cytoplasm present. It is surrounded by plasma membrane. When pollen grain mature, then two type of cell made. When pollen grain is mature, then they make two type of cell. One is vegetative and second is generative cell. In a mature pollen, two type of cell I have told. vegetative and generative. Vegetative cell generally big, so it can able to food reserve and also have nucleus, but generative cell is generative cell is small, float on cytoplasm. That's mean this part, if you see it properly, you will be able to understand it. Okay, this is generative cell and this part is vegetative cell. Okay, in this part cytoplasm present, here also cytoplasm present, but different you have to understand. Okay, where nucleus present or not. Okay, this part if you see properly, you will be able to understand it. Okay, I'm talking about this part. Here generative cell float on cytoplasm, but this cytoplasm is dense and a proper nucleus present. Okay, a proper nucleus present in dense cytoplasm. This is known as generative cell, which is small.